All right, sorry about that. My phone had run out of memory, but I deleted some stuff, so we're back in business. All right, so let's take a look at a couple more examples together as to how we factor. Now, again, when we're factoring, what we're trying to do is we're going to take this sum and we're going to break it up into two things being multiplied by one another. So essentially, I'm going to be undistributing. So let's go ahead and take a look at 14y plus 7. So I want to go ahead and figure out, well, what is the GCF, the greatest common factor, between 14 and 7? Well, our greatest common factor is going to be 7. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take my 14y and I'm going to write that as 7 times something. So 7 times blank plus, and I'm going to rewrite 7 as 7 times something, which I know seems silly, but I'm going to walk you through step by step this process. So what we do next is we need to figure out, well, 7 times what gets me back to 14y? 2y. 7 times 2y gets me right back to my 14y. 7 times 1 gets me right back to my 7. So now I'm going to essentially undistribute, and I'm going to pull that 7 out of the sum. And it's going to go on the outside of the parentheses, and everything inside is left inside the parentheses. So that's going to be 2y plus 1. And so what we have just done is we have just factored, because we just created a product between two things, between 7 and y plus 1. And we can check our work. We can check our work by redistributing. So I'm going to go ahead and check. And what I do here is I would redistribute. If I distribute back in, 14y plus 7, I'm right back to where I started, which means that I did it correctly. Let's do another example together, because the more you do it, the better you get at it. So I'm going to look at 24 and 16. I know it's 24 minus 16x, but we really care about the coefficient. So between 24 and 16, my greatest common factor is 8. So I'm going to write this as 8 times something plus 8 times something. Now I need this to be equivalent to 24. Well, it's going to be 8 times 3. And, oops, it's not going to be plus. Oh, gosh, I apologize. That is minus. There's a minus sign there. So that's going to be minus 8 times 2x, because 8 times 2x gets me back to the 16x. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to undistribute. I'm going to pull those 8's out of there, and I get 8 times 3 plus, gosh, I keep doing that, minus 2x. I'm going a little bit too fast here. I gotta slow down. That is a minus sign because the problem started with subtraction. So let's go ahead and check our work. So this is my factored product. This is what my final answer would be, because I just created a multiplication problem for myself. Now I can redistribute. I can check my work by redistributing in, and that would be 24 minus 16x. I'm back to where I started, so I know I did it correctly. And let's do one more together. This last one, we've got 32m plus 48. So I'm going to look at 32 and 48. Let's see, my greatest common factor, they're both divisible by 2. They're both divisible by 4. They're both divisible by 8. And I do believe 8 is going to be my greatest common factor, although let's see, 16. 16, I believe, goes into both of these. So 16 is actually my greatest common factor. So I've got 16 times blank, and that needs to get me back up to my 32m. So 16 times 2m will get me back to my 32m. And then I need 16 times what number gets me back to 48? 16 times 3. And now I'm going to undistribute. I'm going to pull those 16s out of there, and they're going to go to the outside of the parentheses, and I'm left with 2m plus 3 on the inside. And again, I can redistribute to check my work. So this would be my final answer because I factored it. I just created two factors, or two numbers that are multiplied together. And the way I check my work is I can redistribute 2m plus 3. If I multiply back in, I do get 32m plus 48. I'm right back to where I started. So again, factoring is just making the expression look different. It's pulling that number out of there.